Hi guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. Hope you guys are doing well today. We're back for another episode of Albion World News. It's kind of moved into the weekend now, which I actually prefer the timeline for it currently, or the timings for it currently, which it just works a lot better for me. So we're going to get straight into it. We're going to be talking about the map first. Looking at the Royal Continent, looks like the Royal Continent at the moment, you've got Nilfgaard still owning Carleon, that major money source right now. Still owning Carleon under attack every day or every other day. They've done really well to hold it. I'm interested to see if the lag's got anything to do with that. Obviously, looking at the time zone for it, it's kind of peak lag times, so I imagine that's a very difficult one to take and defend at the moment. Looks like they're actually pushing into Vendetta at Fort Stirling, so maybe Nilfgaard are looking to try and push out. It could be quite interesting. Lyndhurst is still owned by Vendetta. Vendetta own the surrounding areas. I have to say, the Oppresso Libra is doing work at the moment, pushing out from Calendaga and pushing across. Definitely doing work, so interesting to see those guys around. Moving over, we have Zorn owning Bridgewatch. They just own everything around it. They're pretty locked down there, and obviously Nilfgaard in the same alliance, owning everything around here, including Carleon. Really got everything on lockdown currently. Moving over to Martlock, they own Martlock, so again, Zorn are just controlling this area completely. This is not who I was expecting, but yeah, Kingdom. Kingdom is Eidos and crew, guys that were in Envy, I believe. They've gone away. They were in the whole War Legend situation right at the start, and they've moved over to do their own thing in Kingdom. The old Envy badge has come back, so nice to see these guys around. Nice to see that flag flying. It's definitely one that I recognise just immediately looking at it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Grey still owning Thetford. Maybe we'll see Kingdom make an attempt on it. But they really just own this entire side right now. You've then got the Zerg guys that kind of just own this area right here. So a lot of the Royal Continent being owned by just 2 or 3 guilds right now. Quite interesting to see how much they're putting, how much effort they're focusing into the Royal Continent. Looking at Anglia then, we'll start with the top left. Top left, obviously, this was Fura. Fura owned pretty much every territory in the top left. Looks like it's split down. Obviously, you've got Headhunters and Overlords here. Both used to be Alliance members, now getting attacked on. Obviously, this is the patch. We're on the patch now that had the Defender bonus reduction. So we've now started to see city plots be capable of being taken. So, I don't know. Maybe we're going to start seeing a lot more attacks, a lot more other guilds pushing out. We'll definitely be talking about that again in a second. We can see here Flinch Grove and Hawklight Well both being attacked by Silent and Just a Game. So yeah, 2 guilds that are under pressure already, and I'm sure other ones are going to be in a very similar situation soon. So obviously the Fura Alliance kind of broke apart. They've split their own ways. They've gone to do their own things. So yeah, definitely not in a situation that's good for them anymore. They're not holding this area as they were. Zorn still holding the same territories they've held for the entirety of release. No one's really put any pressure on them. Maybe something we'll start seeing with the Defender bonus changes. I can't imagine them putting too much emphasis on these 3 territories, but the city plot I imagine they'll defend. Blackout have been doing absolute work though. They've kind of pushed out from having once, like about a week ago, they had 4 or 5 territories, so just pushing out in every direction. These guys have been doing really, really well. They've pushed fleet back, they're pushing into GG. They've just done really well. They're pushing into every corner. This is actually an attack from Blackout as well, trying to push Fleet out. Fleet have been really struggling. They're down to 2 or down to 3 territories with the 3rd under attack. So taking a lot of pressure. GG taking a lot of pressure here as well. We've obviously had a lot of lockdown around this area, but it looks like Blackout have pushed in. We've pushed right as well though, so we've kind of kept the same amount of territories. King's still owning a good majority of the top right now, but under pressure from the Hate Alliance. Hate is the Black Mamba Alliance that they now own, have been doing absolute work, owning the good majority of the right side of Anglia. From about here, they just own everything nearly across. The guys have been doing work with the breakdown recently of the EWA Alliance, the EOS Alliance. We started to see guilds that were being a bit pushed back and struggling to get into Cumbria, which was pretty much on lockdown from that alliance. Team Casualty now being part of the Hate Alliance, No Life here being part of the Hate Alliance, Black Mamba here. The EOS and Co, that whole alliance has sort of broke down. The guilds have fallen apart. The GVG teams have left for other things. And Cumbria has just become a bit of a war zone, a bit open to everyone, and hate have taken advantage of this. They've pushed in and done absolute work currently. Interesting to see if some city plots start changing hands soon. Moving into Mercia then, so we've got the Exertion boys. They've been putting in work. They would keep pushing back. They get a lot of attacks on them. They've had so much pressure onto them. But Nilfgaard, we see Nilfgaard all the way in heart of the forest now. It's just insane how much these guys have pushed in. Obviously, I believe that was a siege camp take, but again, I think we're still in a similar position where sort of Zerg alliance, you just see him all down here. I mean, Graves Pound, we could see War Legend actually lose that territory soon. It does look like a T6 city plot, but still Nilfgaard just own the area already. Lots of attacks going out onto Money Guild, backward and forward. It looks like there's just a lot of attacks going on right now. Zerg aren't nearly as dominant as they were before. They're being sort of defended on this line, so to speak, in Mercia. But again, Money Guild are still trapped in the middle of... Oh, sorry, Money Guild. The Oops Alliance are still trapped in the middle of this. Interesting to note, actually, is... Gentlemen don't, as far as I know, they have actually been removed from the Oops Alliance. They're now part of the Or Alliance, I believe, owned by themselves. Let's have a quick look. We can find them. There we go. Yeah, so it's just them and their alts. So it looks like they've kind of been moved out right now, which is scary, to be honest. They're dropping guilds once a week at the moment out of that Oops Alliance. We're going to see them struggle to keep holding Mercia if that keeps happening. So, yeah, obviously none of these Gs, all of these G territories right now that they were part of the Oops Alliance and being that defending force, now are looking for their own attacks against Money Guild and Oops potentially. So, yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. They aren't nearly as strong as they were. Obviously, this whole area up here is still pretty protected for the Oops Alliance. And this area down here, fairly protected. But this Money Guild area in the centre is taking a lot of heat from Zerg on both sides. Gentlemen potentially coming in soon. Interesting to see what's going to be happening in the next couple of days in Mercia. Just talking about GVGs, I'm just having a look now at sort of past GVG matches. So it looks like people are starting to run. So Royal Continent seems to be 6-2, 7-1, maybe a 7-2 set if you're really determined to win it. Obviously, this is red zone, yellow zone's capped at 6-1. But yeah, if you're really determined to win it, maybe a 7-2 baller set at the start. But 7-1, 6-2 seems to be the common thing for red zones. Moving into Anglia. Anglia typically is 7-2 starter, 7-1 casuals then. Maybe even starting to get to a point of 8-1, 7-2 is sort of the consistent thing. It's just going to be pushing to that, if anything. It isn't there yet. Cumbria, we're starting to move into a little bit more of that 8-1, 7-2, 7-1 is kind of... 7-1's the bare minimum. The masteries and the item need to go with it. 7-2 is kind of expected. Maybe even obviously 8-1 to go with it as well. And Mercia. Now Mercia's at a point where we're starting to see 8-1, 8-2, 7-3. Mercia, the big boy gear is coming out. Very interesting to see right now. Yeah, so... interesting to see right now. There's a lot of gear being thrown around in this territory, and obviously a lot of defences. We saw some defences that were just throwing 6-1 gear at them just to go and try and have the fight, just because it must be so expensive to sustain all of these GVG matches. There's actually a match going on right now between Nilfgaard and Money Guild. So yeah, it's definitely going to be some high gear being thrown around in Mercia right now. Cumbria's kind of getting to the same way, and Anglia's moving that direction, but just not quite yet. Let's look at the leaderboard, shall we? Let's start with players. So this week, kill value. So kill value this week, Fastnik doing work, but other than that, Kira, Hakuna Matata, Kiro 1, Monster Way. That's the typical no-life team that we're seeing at the moment. Other than that, lads doing absolute work this week. I know these guys have been doing a lot of GVGs as mercs. Jonah Vale and his crew, Nilfgaard and Jagger. Seeing some big names up here. Lots of competition and very, very close really on the fame. 100k between each competitor. It's going to be really, really close. It's nice to see all of these guilds getting involved. Moving into fame in total then. That fame is just insane. 69.8 million fame. I imagine that's pretty much just crafting fame right now. In fact, 171.5 mil. That's definitely just crafting fame right now. Ganked again, crafting fame. Delicious Milk. Delicious Milks can do pretty much just has been doing pretty much everything he needs to do for himself. That's a lot of crafting fame right there. Crafting obviously is the major thing right now to make money, 100%. I'm going to see if I can find like the highest person with a respectable mob fame. Obviously we had Delicious Milk up there with like 14 mil or something. Let's see if we can find one. I got Lupac. Lupac's been doing a lot of work actually. 4.9 mil mob fame. Not too bad at all. 13 mil mob fame. There we go. Hales putting in the work. And that's a lot of mob fame and player fame right there. Only a mil crafting. So probably the #1 person for mob and kill fame right now. And just in general thrown it all together this week. So really well done to these guys. Silver collected. I never understand how these guys do it. It's amazing. 15.2 million silver earned right now is just mental. That's a lot of money. 13.6 million, 11.4. They're losing like 2 mil a time for the first 3, but huge amounts of money being thrown around right there. Resource value. Resource value is obviously gathering fame. We're starting to get to a point that a few more people are getting up to that T78 level, so it's not surprising we're seeing this level, but the amount of time that must go into that gathering is just insane. But let's look at the guilds then, shall we? So, Team Casualty doing work. 73.8 million fame. We've seen No Life, Exertion, Nilfgaard being typical top contenders. Black Mamba and Money Guild have all been up there. Team Casualty, first time really that they've been right at the top, and by a long shot as well for kill value. These guys have been doing a lot of work, so fair play to these guys. Nilfgaard, not surprising, these guys are constantly doing GVGs. And Hellgates, they've at least got 2 teams running Hellgates just at all times. Exertion obviously had a lot of fights, very back-to-back, so not surprising. Black Mamba have been pushing work into Cumbria, lots of GVGs right there, and lots of Hellgates, we see them all the time. Money Guild, obviously lots of defences, so definitely a reason, understandable. Tea Party isn't in Oops anymore. That's actually one that I didn't know about either, so Oops Alliance at the moment, kind of Conflict, Metatron, 18 Millennium, that's it. Wow, these guys are really going to struggle. That means that that entire Tea Party area in Murcia is just... all of this is owned by a different guild, by a different alliance now. So, Oops, once upon a time, they owned all of this, and now they own this area right here. Not even, they don't own all of this, they're gentlemen there. These guys are really going to struggle if everyone starts attacking each other. Mercia is going to become a war zone very soon. Interesting to see, actually. I didn't know that, so interesting for me to see that as well. Mercenario, you still have the EWA alliance, but it certainly isn't as dominant as it was. Once upon a time, I sang these guys' praise all the time. But yeah, they really seem to be struggling with the recent events with what happened. We've got Fleet, obviously, in the Who alliance. They've left Fura now. So lots of little alliances being made, kind of not in the same category that they were before. I just actually got to check something. Yeah, someone said last week about Greys pushing in. I didn't even notice. These guys have pushed in as well, so that's another Zerg Alliance guild that have pushed into the Black Zone, into Mercia as well. Doing work. So yeah, Zerg definitely, I would say Zerg is probably the most dominant force in Mercia right now, so that's a big change right now. Fame. These fame levels are just crazy right now. Obviously there's a lot, it's not surprising to see all of these. These are other than Team Casual, in fact Team Casualty, Black Mamba, both a Cumbria guild, so lots of enchanted resources. They can be crafting a lot of their own gear. That's where a lot of this fame does come from. They obviously have the resources to fame farm constantly as well, so yeah, big props to these guys. We see Zerg, hate. That's huge work from these two alliances right now. Resource value, I'm not going to go into this too much. Black Mamba have almost 10 mil higher than the next one, No Life having 21.8, and then Filthy Casuals having 16. Black Mamba have almost double the third spot. That's massive amount of resources being funneled into these guys. and territories owned. So let's look at last week. Last week you had Black Mamba, Nilfgaard, Zorn and Fleet. This week we have Black Mamba, Nilfgaard, No Life. No Life pushed up a little bit, Zorn pushed down a little bit, Blackout pushed up, Fleet number 10 now, where they were number what? Number 5? Number 4. So No Life have picked up 6 territories this week. Zorn have actually gained a territory, but No Life have just been doing work. Obviously in that hate alliance they've pushed into Cumbria while they've had the chance to. They've a lot of guilds doing work. Tea Party, I don't know how Tea Party have been doing recently. Picked up only 1 territory, but again, that's pretty consistent for these guys. Greys actually was doing a lot better last week. They're 3 now. Last week, I believe they had 11. Yeah, that was massive. Big changes. So, yeah, the territories are still being shifted quite often. This isn't getting stale at all with how the territories are moving around. Alliances are starting to break down as everyone predicted, and people are taking advantage of it, and that's the cool thing. Let's move into the alliances, and we're going to do this quite quickly. So the kill value, not particularly surprising. The hate alliance have been pushing in, massively doing work, 72 total territories. These guys have been monsters this week, so not particularly surprising. Just going to give you a quick overview of who's in there. Zerg Police, Zerg, Nilfgaard, Exertion, Grey, Articular Mortis moving back in. Articular Mortis was a big guild in Beta 3, haven't really seen too much about them. I think they were in also previous betas as well. I think they've had a previous alliance with Nilfgaard, so not particularly surprising. Zorn doing really well. Zorn obviously very underrated at the start and pushed in, did work. So 49 territories for these guys. That's a lot of kill fame for these. Moving into fame then, this is where it gets a bit excessive. 1.3 billion fame for a 2,600 member alliance compared to an 8,200 member 1.1. A 16, I mean Zerg, I have to give credit to Zerg. As much as people don't like me saying to it, and I get a lot of slack for it, 1,600 members and 400k, 400 mil less fame than hate, with about 1,000 members more. That's crazy. These guys are so efficient with that. Kings putting in a lot of fame as well, but these top 3 are just huge. Obviously Arch, a lot of numbers, which means a lot of people to make fame, but certainly Hate and Zerg have been putting in the work and doing absolutely fantastic with it. Silver Collected, bit of a useless stat, but still, it's 500 mil in a week is pretty insane. It's pretty nice. Resource value, 119.3 million resource value picked up by a single alliance of what, 2,600. That's insane. These guys, hate alliance, definitely. I said it last week and I'm going to say it again this week. These guys have been doing work and it's pretty impressive to see. And territories owned. So let's look at last week first. Last week we had Hate in number 1 at 63, Zerg in 55, then EOS wins again in 38. So let's look this week. EOS wins again at 28. Is that 10 lost right there? That was 10 lost for EOS. Kings have moved in to 3rd spot with 31. Last week owning 25. These guys are doing well as well. Hate have picked up nearly 10 territories. Zerg Police actually losing some territories this week. But it looks like, there you go, that's the MV Alliance. They're in an alliance with themselves and own 11 territories with 44 members. That's actually a very, very impressive feat. Don't think you can do it small. These guys have. That's 11 territories, 44 members. That's insane. That's not even like that. You can't even put 5 members in each one of those territories at the same time. That's insane. So guys, that's pretty much it. Obviously we've had Gentlemen move out. I'm going to try and get a couple of interviews lined up for like the next Albion World news, potentially see if we can try and get someone in here from one of the major guilds. If you guys know anyone or watch it yourselves from one of the bigger guilds, alliances or whatever, please get in contact and we'll set that up. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you for listening and catch you later. Goodbye.